right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. And today on the show, we are live from downtown cinemas talking about Hundreds of Beavers, which will be out on streaming right after this comes out, and it is so much fun. We had such a great time talking about this one, and thank you to Downtown Cinemas, not just for having us, but for also getting this movie so we could actually experience it in a theater with a crowd. Speaking of which, thank you to the crowd, to everybody who showed up. Joining me on this live show, we've got Michael Keene returning to the show, Tia Bean, her second time on, and first-time guest, William-Patrick Coleman. Great lineup. We get into a lot of great puzzle pieces. We get a lot of good audience participation, and just a really fun time overall. So that's coming up here in a second. Before we get to it, I do want to remind you, as always, to make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on social media at Piecing Pod. Join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we continue the conversation about all the movies we talk about here on the show. And once again, shout out to Downtown Cinemas for having us. Make sure to check out Downtown Cinemas LV on Instagram to follow along with everything that they're going to be showing there and all the special events they've got. So check them out, and let's get to this conversation about Hundreds of Beavers.
Sorry, the podcasters, they take 10 goddamn years to do anything.
I couldn't miss a second of that movie, so I had to run and go, use the restroom.
How about that movie, huh?
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm David Rosen. I'm the host of Piecing It Together podcast. What we're going to do is talk about the movie we just watched and talk about some movies that might have inspired it. But before we get to Hundreds of Beavers, let's introduce the guests here that are joining me for this conversation, starting with many-time live show guest Michael Keene. Michael, say hello to everybody.
Hey! Most of you don't know who the fuck I am. That's fine. Hi, I'm Michael Keene. I make puerile films and have a YouTube channel, and you can find me by Googling Michael Keene and ignoring all the faceless guitarist posts, and then like about 10 pages in, you'll find me.
You know what I just found out is there's a David Rosen who scores all of the Star Wars, all the trailers.
Really?
Yeah. So
It's not you.
I can never be a trailer composer.
It's not
at this
you.
point. Yeah, it's not me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You might want to change your name, but Star Wars is
I
pretty big.
seriously might have
Your
to.
name means
I knew someone
Yeah,
named John
I'm-
Williams. He had to change it. It was over.
Yeah,
he had
finish.
To...
You're kaput. William-Patrick Coleman,
Hello.
first time on the show. Happy to have him here. Introduce
Yes.
yourself.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is William-Patrick Coleman. I am also the host of a YouTube channel show called FILMBUFF. I do a lot of sketch comedy, but also anything revolving around films, including celebrity interviews or things like that.
this man is a literal clown, and he's so fucking good at it.
Nice.
It makes me so jealous. So jealous. I just look like I'm going to commit a crime. He's legitimately funny.
Yeah, you're going to have to go on the page to see what he's talking about.
Right on, right on. Tia Bean on the right over there. She's been on the regular show before. First time on a live one, though. Thank you so much for being here, Tia.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Tia. I'm a local actress, and I do a lot of weird stuff. Some I can talk about. But oddly enough, okay, so I think I'm like weirdly qualified to talk about this film because I actually spent a year being a furry character at Universal Studios.
Okay.
So I have like firsthand experience being inside a fuzzy costume.
I'm so horned up right now.
Are those heads as heavy?
Ew.
Those heads look heavy. Are they really heavy?
Some of them have like fans in them because it gets really hot. But yeah, I did all of the short characters.
Are they filled with popcorn kernels?
No, but sometimes there's like spiders.
Yeah,
inside,
oh God.
which is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like
and
fake spider? Like
no.
Oh, that
That
makes more
sounds like a
sense.
Yeah.
nightmare. Fake or real
Who would
nightmare.
put fake spiders in the back?
Yeah, I don't know. Wishful thinking, I guess.
I don't know what's going on with that. But so I always like to start these things off by just throwing a puzzle piece. That's what we call them. Puzzle pieces are the movies that might have inspired the movie we just watched. And I always like to throw one out just to get this thing going. And I actually went into this movie blind. I had not seen a trailer. I did not really know what to expect other than everybody said it was crazy. But the one thing I did know is everybody compared it to Looney Tunes. So that's where I'm going with my first puzzle piece here as far as, the silent characters, the animals killing each other.
It's painfully and heavily influenced by Looney Tunes.
100%.
It's like Wile E. Coyote.
It is.
Actually.
It's Wile E. Coyote. It's Elmer Fudd.
Yeah.
It's Bugs Bunny, of course. Like it's all of them kind of mashed into one. And God, like nobody does that anymore. Like there used to be things that kind of had that influence on their sleeve, but they don't really do that anymore.
Had you told me about it ahead of time, or even when I was reading about it, the first thought that comes to mind is how are they going to make an hour and a half out of this?
Sure.
How are they going to make a whole feature out of it?
2 hours.
Is it 2 hours?
It was almost
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. No, I was wondering that myself too, and I got to admit, like the first 5-10 minutes, I was like, are they going to be able to keep this going? But it just keeps getting funnier.
And then it gets to 25 minutes, and the credits come up.
Yeah. Great choice there.
The 25. I think it's Innovac 1 is the credits.
Yeah.
And then it's.
And then you don't get the title till like.
sequence.
Well, the title is used as a joke almost.
Yeah.
It's like sequence 6, I think.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
It might be the midpoint, but it's like around sequence 6.
But almost like Looney Tunes even would probably do something like that if they could get away with it.
Yeah, I would think so. Absolutely.
It's part of the joke.
Yeah, so I think mission accomplished if Looney Tunes was the inspiration here.
Yes.
But Michael, what do you got for your first puzzle piece?
I mean, if it was inspiration.
Yeah, of course it was.
What are
Yeah.
you talking about? Well, the first one I have is it reminded me of Guy Madden movies.
Okay.
Guy Madden is this very, I don't know, esoteric filmmaker. I don't know how to really describe Guy Madden, but he makes movies often that are shot on film. This wasn't, but it tries to look
Sure,
like
it looks like it.
and often they look like a maybe 1930s movie at most, futuristic.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically one called Keyhole, just because I have watched far fewer Guy Madden movies than I should have. But it's a similar idea behind it in so much as we're going to pretend that we are making a movie from a whole nother. I'm just going to take this off because I'm going to be like all over the place. I'm just going to.
It's going to be animated for the animated movie.
So yeah, it's trying to emulate the feel and style of old cinema, specifically silent films, which Guy Madden also does. So it definitely feels like that is. What's the star and writer's previous movie? You watched it.
So I watched Lake Michigan Monster, which he did in 2018. Mike Cheslik, he did it, and there's talking in it.
Right, but it's also a similar.
It's very similar. It's really funny.
Like real throwback. And
But it's really funny. I don't know. I think the dialogue changes it completely, though, too.
Now, is that a feature or is that because I thought he
No, it's
only
a
did
feature.
shorts?
No, it's a
Okay.
feature.
Yeah, Arrow put it out on Blu-ray.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. I'm gonna have to watch
It's
that. 'Cause,
hilarious, yeah.
Especially after this. I'm not familiar with Keyhole, but like that capturing that style of like old movies or shows or cartoons, even in the case of this one, like. Yeah, I'd love to see that because anytime I feel like there's been a lot of great things lately that are trying to recapture that. I mean, we just had The Holdovers trying to be like a 70s film, like, you know, like anytime that it can go really wrong when a filmmaker tries so hard to capture that kind of thing. But when it goes right, it's great. you know?
This was really incredible. Like they had it on point.
Yeah.
It was really great.
They had all of that like totally on point. Let's go to your first piece over there, William.
So we're doing one or
One at a
so,
time.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
So one that
Fucking greedy.
what's that? Okay. I'm getting excited. No, one that comes to mind is Cannibal the musical.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Did
yeah.
you have that on your list?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cannibal the musical, which if anybody doesn't know, is Trey Parker and Matt Stone's, I believe, first movie.
Mhm.
It's a trauma feature, but it's about who was the infamous guy who got lost in the woods and ate his crew.
Right. God, I can't think of his name right
God damn it.
Packard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but it's a comedy take on that. Of
Packard?
course, there's dialogue in there, and of course, it's not a black and white feature, but they do it from a comedy aspect if you can, how Trey Parker and Matt Stone would do, and it's very rated R. It's very R-rated comedy, and it did remind me a lot of that.
I actually, if I could expand on that a little bit, what I especially like about what reminded me of Cannibal the musical is they're both films with very minuscule budgets
Sure.
that make the absolute most of them.
Mhm.
Both have musical sequences. I
Sure.
was hoping this would be a full-on musical. That was my one gripe was you get one song, and I was like, oh, I'm fucking in. And then it wasn't, it was a musical.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that they said, okay, we have zilch as far as funds. let's just get fucking weird, y'all. What are we gonna do? Let's pretend we're fucking Looney Tunes movie and Charlie Chaplin.
I feel like they hit every button in their editing software. Like
Oh my God.
they found every single thing that that software could
I
do.
want to say it was
used
probably like 2 actors playing the fuzzies.
Oh, I'm
you know?
sure.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
just multiplied
Or
it.
not just I was gonna say not just the beavers, but all. I
Yeah,
wasn't expecting more than 100 beavers. I thought
yeah.
it's 100 beavers and a couple of raccoons and
There's a lot of
some
beavers.
dogs,
I thought this
some-
was a completely
some
different
hounds,
movie.
if you will.
Yeah.
Wolves.
Yeah.
Wolves were there. Will.
Yeah.
There were all of those things. Tia, let's go to your first piece.
Okay, I'm gonna take it back, and I'm gonna be an unfun nerd right now.
Oh, this is the Tia of magic, right? All right.
I'm Hermione Granger, and I did a research prior to this. So going back to Looney Tunes, what inspired Looney Tunes originally was something called the Alice comedy cartoons, which came out in the 1920s. Don't look at me like that.
Ooh, no,
I'm just looking at you.
I'm interested. I want to hear more.
By a company that later would be Disney, and it was the wonderful work of Ub Iwerks, who was the great brain behind Disney. But I'm actually going to be greedy and do 2 here. Later, Disney would come out with The Incredible Mr. Limpet with Don Knotts in 1964, and the fish in this specifically reminded me of that film so much. Like
The
whole
sock fish?
the fish scene. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah. I don't know.
You dropping Ub Iwerks, I love you.
Did you have a second title there?
Yeah, I said Incredible Mr. Limpet.
That was number 2 on,
was
on
number 2?
top of the
It
Alice.
was just so smooth.
Yeah.
That was
missed
really
it.
yeah.
Yeah, great stuff there, and all that circle of weird, crazy cartoon stuff that we look back at it now and we're just like, this stuff was really a lot weirder than we considering how broad it is and how everybody watched it growing up. That it captured the imagination of everybody. It's so strange that something like that could grasp on. I feel like this is a movie even though everybody that seems to watch it is loving it, it's kind of out there and it's not really for everybody, but those things were for everybody, literally.
If you go back and you watch some of the cartoons with humans and animation in the 1920s and 30s, they get really, really weird.
Oh
Some
yeah,
of them.
especially whenever it's a cartoonist and
Yeah.
the Fleischer cartoons with
Yeah.
Bimbo and whatever the fuck the clown's name was.
Yeah.
And he would just come out of the inkwell and cause havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. I wanted to mention also Minnie the Moocher.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I know I stole that from you. Michael's a real Betty Boop fan, but with Cab Calloway, that is so bizarre, and
Yeah.
how he dances was just.
Especially with the love interest here, you get that whole
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. But I'm gonna go on to my first one. I'm gonna go with Kung Pao: Enter the Fist.
Oh my god!
Very good.
I
So-
saw that in theaters.
It's
I
the best.
love that movie.
It's truly one of the best movies, and we're still waiting on the sequel. Which
Oh my gosh!
he's
yeah,
promised
keep
for years
waiting
and
for
years.
that.
This is the closest thing we've ever gotten. I feel like. I mean, just a live.
That's a really
action
interesting
cartoon.
comparison.
It's just
actually.
nonstop wacky ridiculousness. There's fighting involved too, and
Yeah.
also we're talking about kind of the filmmaking style of it all, like inserting himself into the film is for anyone who hasn't seen Kung Pao. I mean, this guy inserted himself into these old martial arts films, and he's acting ridiculous and also fighting along with all the characters from those old movies.
Because those movies are dubbed, he gets to redub a whole different plot.
Yes, he's
to
able to
him.
completely
Yeah.
meld it to whatever he wants it to be.
I
and-
wonder if some filmmakers would consider that to be extremely lazy.
I mean,
But it's part of the joke. I get it.
it's
yeah,
I mean, it's,
I really like that.
Are you
movie.
calling early career Woody Allen lazy? You fuck. If I could throw in a twofer, just because one of them is literally just a visual reference. The Beaver Compound,
I love that.
which is a great euphemism now that I'm thinking about it, is very reminiscent of the Tower of Babel in Metropolis.
Oh,
That was my first
I love it.
little brain wiggle there. And then also the whole film is very similar to Charlie Chaplin's Gold Rush.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some Charlie Chaplin in there
Yeah.
for sure.
Suck it.
Yeah, you beat me to it.
Yeah,
gotta
lots
get
of those old classic comedy like Chaplin. I would put any of those kinds of the old 30s comedies and stuff like that in there.
I wouldn't really say 30s comedies.
Even before.
No, I would say that's very much 20s.
Yeah.
Maybe dipping into the 10s a bit.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, there's dialogue, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a little bit.
I like it. Even the film style, like the vignetting, like kind of focusing in on one element. Of course, you have the gag where they can't tell what the dad is saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of references to the style of silent cinema where obviously you had to be very visually minded, which also this movie is very visually minded.
Yeah.
The whole thing is pretty much told visually. I think there's a few instances where it gets a little confusing just because it doesn't completely nail the follow through.
Yeah, I was curious about like watching this a second time because like every little thing you get like explanation of how it works later on. So I wonder if seeing it the second time through and knowing like, oh, he's setting that up to be able to do that, if it's all going to kind of like come together more like in an, I don't know, like just like an interesting weird way.
Yeah.
I actually cheated and watched this movie twice.
You
I saw it
did?
on
So-
Monday.
so-
Wow,
nice.
you cannot keep your lid shut.
I
can you?
know.
You're such an honest little.
We were trying not to say anything about it, but you just gave yourself up.
This-
Gave me a look, but,
This fuck cheated
Cheating.
on the podcast.
Cheating on the Piecing It Together podcast. Unbelievable. But
but
that's
watching
okay.
it a second time, there were a lot of things that I felt like I missed the first time and like made more sense the second time.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So yeah.
I want to see it again. I hope they show it again here at the Downtown Cinemas. Thank you to Downtown Cinemas for having us out, by the way. But William, let's go to your next piece.
You know what it reminds me of a lot is the first 20 to 25 minutes of every Baz Luhrmann movie. Everyone, if you notice, if you pick a Romeo and Juliet, Moulin Rouge, or even Elvis or Great Gatsby, the first 20, 25 minutes is like zip, sang, zoom. It's like Looney Tunes. And I think he very much bases it almost kind of like that on Looney Tunes, especially Moulin Rouge has characters that are very animated along with it, but then it has nowhere to go but slump down afterwards.
Fucking piece of shit.
But no, I love Baz Luhrmann movies. I think they're beautiful, but this one is like that throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so like, and I come to expect that now. When I went into Elvis, I knew the first 20, 25 minutes was going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
And then it would
slow
have
down.
to. It would have to.
Well, Michael was
And-
just saying that this is like a very visual movie, and
Yeah.
Baz Luhrmann movies are just nonstop visual.
Yeah,
And actually,
absolutely.
Moulin Rouge really, like, with
Yeah.
how much they composite in, just shit going everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, very much.
But
Moulin
then John Leguizamo's character comes in. All these characters are very much animated like the old school Looney Tunes characters were kind of like. So
Yeah.
and I love Baz Luhrmann. So
I like that one. I wasn't thinking about that at all, but I like that as a piece.
You know
here.
what's so smart also about this movie is because they do the silent film thing and it's all just like mumbling and dubbing. No audio crew,
Yeah.
which is the smartest goddamn thing you can do as a film. If you can find a way to make a movie with like no audio,
minimal
oh
audio.
my god,
Yeah.
Make a
Sweet.
silent film.
I was thinking,
Jesus.
how many
Just
times
make-
did he have to yell?
Make a
Just
music
yell
video
is-
for me, Michael. When are you going to do that?
what?
Make a music video for me.
Ooh.
Well, I've already edited. two
You
for
did
you.
edit for me, yeah, but yeah.
fuckity ask me.
He signed on for David Rose. But it was the other one. It's the other David Rose.
I'm working with
that's
the trailer editor,
Yeah.
David Rosen.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
I don't blame you one bit. Tia, second time through.
Oh, no,
What
I
do you
don't
got
know-
next?
I don't know what to pick. I have a few.
All right.
That's what happens when you cheat.
Yeah,
I know. Well, I felt like this was very like Terry Gilliam with like Baron von Munchausen from
Sure.
the 1980s. Like this would be a story that Baron von Munchausen would tell, and it was absolutely not true. But he would later on recount how he killed 100 beavers to win over
Yeah.
this woman. So,
Absolutely. I feel like Cannibal the musical is inspired by that too, possibly. Like
Yeah, because it's told from her, right? It's somebody's recalling the story.
recalling
Yeah,
of it,
yeah.
and it's like all like blown up and everything.
That actually, that totally reminds me. Thank you, Tia. Of the fabulous Baron Munchausen, directed by Karel Zeman. I don't know how to say these weird names.
Yeah,
I
sure.
haven't actually seen it yet because I suck at being a cinephile.
Mm.
But I've seen clips from it, and it has a very similar aesthetic as far as the special effects and the action goes to this, kind of just by virtue of the style they're emulating.
Mhm.
But I imagine, I'm sure they saw it and were inspired because they are fucking nerds.
Hey, you could tell that the people who made this are big movie nerds.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's exactly what they are. So
Oh yeah.
100%.
like a love story to, or like a love letter to like old cinema.
Oh yeah.
Bunch of foot sniffing film nerds.
I'm gonna go to a different kind of nerds for my next puzzle piece. Every once in a while, I'll sneak in something that's not a movie. Sometimes we'll throw TV shows in there. I'm gonna throw in a kind of genre of video games. These kind of casual, like smartphone-based games where like you do these random things to upgrade your ability to gather more resources and then go sell them to be able to gather more resources at a quicker rate. This is basically the whole plot of this movie.
Yeah, there's levels that
Yeah.
he has to, and then even showing the map is showing the levels that he has to go through. If he fails, he has to do it again. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is a brilliant shorthand too. 'cause,
It really is.
again, no dialogue.
Yeah, you don't need dialogue for that. And whenever he would go to trade in his beavers, and like the little icon would move around the screen of what he's going to select for his next upgrade, straight up video game stuff there.
Yeah.
And also silent protagonist is a big video game thing too, if you were to go into adventure games too and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's like a lot of different angles of video game inspiration here, as well as just like the kind of short attention span, of those smartphone games, a little quick,
Yeah.
Jump in, jump out kind of things. This movie, you could practically watch like 15 minutes of it and not even watch the whole movie and just have a fun time with
yeah,
it.
Yeah, it did feel kind of like it almost should have been a YouTube short.
Right, or a series.
And that was my thought process, like in the first act or so. And then once it like really got going, I was like, oh no, fuck this. Give me 2 hours, baby.
Just keep on going, please. Absolutely. So, Michael, let's go for one more from you.
One more?
Yeah, then we'll open it to the floor once we get through the
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with something that's probably not gonna get mentioned. Don't Let the River Beast Get You.
Oh,
This is a Moturn Media film from like 2000. I want to say 16. It's probably earlier than that, but I'm not good at number math.
Yeah.
I'm from South Carolina. But it's a similar conceit in so much as it is, again, very, very no budget, but it also has a gimmick that is very, 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 very specific.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't jive with that, and if you focus too much on the fact that it is cheap as all hell,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to like the movie. I think this is more likable just out of the box than Don't Let the River Beast Get You, but the whole Moturn Media filmography is very similar, and I think highly recommended for anyone who wants to go a little bit deeper into the wow, they're really committed to this bit style of filmmaking.
Is that like horror, or how would it?
No,
Yeah.
it is. It's like a very lighthearted comedy, kind of like this. It's not like, I mean, there's a few like PG-13 jokes in this.
Sure. Yeah.
Moturn Media, generally speaking, are very family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very specific vibe that I remember first watching and being like, I don't know what the fuck we're doing here, guys.
Yeah.
And then I finished and I was like, okay, I'll do that again. Sure. Okay. I'll see what else you got.
Sounds
pretty sure
cool.
This is rated R.
Is it?
Is Hundreds of Beavers rated R?
No.
I don't think so.
There's blood in there.
There is
There's
blood.
pole
So?
dancing.
It's cartoon
So?
blood, though. I don't know.
I guess you can get away
That's-
with whatever these days.
I mean, Itchy and Scratchy got away with
I'm
it
the
on
asshole. Okay,
TV,
sure.
So
Well, there's a wonderful young boy in front of me sitting there. He must have been by the age of, I don't know, 8 or 9. And I
Yeah.
was like, what are they doing?
Very
But-
confused. child.
he was loving it, though.
Probably learned
I
a
came
lot.
I
today.
Having a
came I
blast.
came from a different time, I guess. You know.
What do you have for your
So I
last
can't, is
one,
it so far fetched for me to say The Revenant?
I was thinking that too. I swear I was
was
thinking
my
that.
last
But the
one.
reason why, there are specific reasons why, which is, and I think there's something about depicting the wild and being silent,
Mm-hmm.
or the horror of the wild, or something like that. And I think that the two have a lot in common. And The Revenant and this movie kind of pointed that out. Is there's a lot of silence in the wild.
Mm.
There's nobody there to talk to, and it's just dead air. And if you hear a crunch, you know that you're fucked.
You get
You're
a
in
little bit of
trouble. Yeah.
space madness
Yeah,
going
exactly,
on
yeah.
because you're alone.
Yeah, exactly. So
Fuck it. Put Birth of a Nation on there as well.
Just whatever. We can just throw them all on. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking that too. I love that. That's great
yeah,
that you
not
brought it in.
wholheartedly, not completely, but there are aspects that they have in common, I feel.
All in.
Literally,
all
that's
in.
on my list. right
Nice.
here.
Nice.
My-
Well,
yeah.
since he stole that one, what do you have for one more?
No, my
Yeah.
husband would not believe that this was a carbon copy of The Revenant when I explained it to him. He was like, "Have you actually seen that movie?" Damn it, that was my good one.
Have you seen The Revenant?
I have seen it.
Okay.
Leo gets fucked by a bear. Yeah.
He doesn't get fucked by a bear. He doesn't get fucked by a bear.
Look, don't
mean,
let her have it.
That's wishful
technically.
thinking.
This one's not that great, but the Beavers reminded me of the BBC TV miniseries in 1998 of the Narnia series. specifically The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe,
Okay.
where there are cute little beavers that befriend the British kids and take them into their. They don't kill the beavers, obviously it's friendly, but I don't know, the like cheap beaver costume, because that was like definitely the 80s and low budget, just kind of reminded me of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Wasn't there an Alice in Wonderland like that? Right.
I think so. But to that point, though, I was also going to throw in the Hobbit for that cave where with all the gold instead of beavers. But yeah, no, I like that. My last one that I was going to include on here. I mean, I don't really love these movies, but I think that if you were to try to sell this to general audiences, I was thinking of the Minions, like the whole Despicable Me thing. All these little gibberish speaking little cute creatures running around.
Similar sources, different attempt.
Yeah, different approaches to that same kind of inspiration.
I'm just thinking of Smaug like on a pile of dead beavers and just like sloshing it around,
swimming in the
with little X's. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to open it to the floor, see if we've got some puzzle pieces out there. And let me just say before we start here, while Michael gets up with the mic, if it'll reach, I don't know if it will, but
Make it.
If it doesn't reach all the way, maybe people can meet you halfway.
Who wants to meet me halfway?
But we do have prizes, but then we also have one poster. And so we're going to kind of vote on the best puzzle piece, and the best puzzle piece is going to get the poster. So bring up your A game here.
Oh, yeah, this is a lot of pressure now.
Yeah, I know.
Benny Hill. So many times,
nice.
especially during the chase scene at the end where he escaped the buzzsaw, I thought, boy, yakety sax would be perfect right there.
It would, and the music in this movie was so good. So that, something like that would have fit in too. But that goes, right along with some of the other things that we were saying about those like old comedians and stuff like that, like Michael brought up. And so yeah, I think that's a great one to include on this
old
list.
Comedians.
Yeah, one.
Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton. Just some fucks.
Yeah. Do we have any others out there?
Of course.
We got
You're
one
gonna
right
have
up
to come
there.
to me. You're gonna have to get your ass over here.
I was just thinking the Keystone Cops and the slapstick.
No, so
The Sherlock and his assistant investigating everything. I kind of got that vibe.
We got Keystone Cops, ladies and gentlemen. Keystone Cops.
love it.
Due to the Sherlock Holmes character, for you guys listening at home, it's a Sherlock Holmes parody, and it's great.
Yeah, I loved the whole Sherlock Holmes bit. It was so fun because it was just so obvious, but played, to 100%.
And
why not?
The punchline, which is that they completely misunderstand everything.
Yeah,
I didn't see that one coming. That was fucking brilliant.
that was really great. I think we got one right up there.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Just hold it in his direction; it'll be fine.
I would just think you could see the 80s film trope, kind of the logic of 80s movie physics inspiration by thinking, anytime there's some sort of booby trap or Rube Goldberg situation.
Yeah.
I was thinking Temple of Doom.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Or, Return of the Jedi, speeder bikes.
Sure.
Even Goonies, like water slide / like I said.
Those are good, yeah.
The entire.
I especially
plot
think
alone.
Temple of Doom.
Yeah, Temple of Doom.
Action, pop culture.
Yeah, I mean these guys who made this, they must have just grown up on all that stuff, just like we all did. But and kind of just bringing all that in here, and there's that's what I was saying at the very beginning of this. When we were talking about Looney Tunes, nobody does that anymore. The whole adding slapstick into everything. Now everything is the Marvel kind of humor or whatever, and it's that slapsticky comedy just doesn't happen anymore. And it was in everything back in the 80s. So
You know who does do it?
who's that?
Edgar Wright, who did Scott Pilgrim, another video game logic film.
Scott
There you
Pilgrim,
go.
yeah.
You got a good one right there. Absolutely.
Boom. There we go.
Anybody else got any puzzle pieces in the crowd? We got one up there.
Jerry!
So aggressive. I didn't think about this until you brought up the Sherlock Holmes bit, but Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh,
Have the
fuck.
detectives running around in the second half of the movie trying to discover what's happening. But I didn't think about that until you brought up the Sherlock Holmes, but it's basically a complete dupe of that. And it's hilarious.
Listen to that hot broad just coming up with a great point.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And absolutely, another thing that kind of gets its inspiration from like it is the inspiration for every kind of comedy. So like, going back around in that circle of all of these kinds of comedies. But what else we got? Any other puzzle pieces out in the crowd? Got one right there.
I feel like the beavers reminded me a lot of the Empire from Star Wars, the way they're just numerous and have no individual identity.
Yes.
There's even a scene on Geonosis when they're in the droid factory on the conveyor belts that reminded me a lot of the beaver.
Love it.
Good
Love
call.
it.
Good
I
call.
feel like it was inspired a lot by a modern view.
Good call.
I love that. Absolutely. Yeah. Just these faceless, nameless people just in rows and rows of going after the good guys and just getting taken out. And yeah, just total droids, that whole thing. I love that. So much Star Wars in this, actually, when you think about it, like all those things. Yeah.
When he opens them up.
Yeah. It's good. Good stuff. I love it. Love it. Any others? Any others
Come on, this
going
crowd.
once, twice? We got one more right up there.
Scene from Mad Max, Beyond Thunderdome, when he's being brought into Bartertown and has to empty all his weapons. Kind of reminded me of showing up at the trader's desk, pulling out what he has every time.
Just throwing it down on the table.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And then
good.
you can come in and make your deals.
Oh, I like
A
that.
bit of a stretch, but I kind of got that vibe a couple of times.
All right. I haven't watched Thunderdome in so many years. I'm going to be rewatching all of them before Furiosa, which, by the way, we've got a live show coming up May 23rd over at Maya Cinemas. But any thoughts on Thunderdome, on that, just the way that he would show up to that desk and just plop his stuff
I can
down?
see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good callback. These are all really good callbacks.
Yeah, all really good ones. I think we got a good little collection of pieces here. So, guys, I don't know how we're going to exactly, vote on these, but we've got Benny Hill, we've got Keystone Cops, Temple of Doom, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Star Wars, and Beyond Thunderdome. I don't know, Michael, what's your favorite one out of those?
I do like the fascist beaver note. That's good. But I admit, a little biased, but I think Cherry's Monty Python thing that's a really good pull. I did not pick up on that, and that's a strong pull.
I like that, absolutely. What
Take
about
that,
you,
film critic.
Well, Temple of Doom was if I remember correctly, it was placed with a whole bunch of other titles, right? It was an 80s.
Yeah, it was like an 80s like mishmash of
Yeah.
like all the action movies that had
If we look at it like
slapstick.
that, I think that was probably one of our best ones.
Right on.
Because you brought up the Goonies and you brought up Temple of Doom. There were little aspects of that were throughout, like sprinkled throughout the whole thing.
Right on.
That was one of my favorites. Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Tia?
I have to agree with Michael just
Yeah?
because I mentioned Terry Gilliam before, and I feel like this whole movie is inspired by Monty Python.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Well,
Her fault. Her fault, not mine.
I was actually going to go with the Benny Hill thing because, like I said, I love the
Yeah.
music in this, and I think that is just a great addition to all of the music that's in here. But we got 2 Monty Python votes here, so Monty Python is going to get the poster, and all great stuff though from the crowd. And we do have other stuff. We got some pins and buttons and other things too. But that brings us to closing thoughts, Michael. You can continue to stand if you'd like.
Yeah, I just feel really comfortable here. I like being over people.
Yeah. Hopefully the camera's picking you up. I don't know where.
Shit. I forgot the camera.
Anyway, any closing thoughts? Anything we didn't quite get to here?
Remember Jib Jab?
Yes.
Yeah, boy. Jib Jab was or is, I guess it still I think exists. But you could like put say a picture of yourself into their system, and it would poop out like a big musical song and dance thing, big gag,
Okay.
using your face like you're a Canadian in South Park.
Yeah, yeah.
And it always started with Jib Jab.
Yeah.
And I did that a lot because I was a very lonely person. Past tense.
Wow.
Kind of. So Jib Jab was definitely something that I was reminded of. And Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's in there.
Yeah, of course. I'm not
Intolerance as well.
Not going to edit that at all. William, any closing thoughts?
First, I want to real quick do a shout out for the actor who has probably the coolest actor name in cinema right now. Ryland Colson Tews is the guy's name.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, really cool name.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Really interesting. But if you guys like this, you really should check out Lake Michigan Monster. It's you're able to find it real easily. It's really funny.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Arrow's streaming service has it too.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah,
Okay.
it was Arrows
Yeah.
distributed.
I want to watch that for sure. How about you, Tia?
Oh, I don't know. I
Yeah?
just am happy to be included.
Ah, there you go. Absolutely. That works. That works absolutely. Yeah, no, all I would really say is just how happy I am that a movie like this exists in 2024.
And that we're seeing in theaters.
And in theaters, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, it's got this like weird small rollout where it's just like a theater at a time. I believe it will be up on streaming later this week that this goes up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that we got a chance to see it in the theater, I'm
Well,
very
we're doing
happy.
this show from Las Vegas, California. It's everywhere right now.
Is
but
it?
For Vegas to get it, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So,
So-
yeah. I think that's a good place to wrap up Hundreds of Beavers. Michael, where can people find you?
You can find me by going to manateepartyfilms.com and buying my film. Oh, fuck. You know what? I just realized Fatal Future, a movie that I made, similar conceit in so much as it is a big old gimmick for an hour and a half. And the difference, the contrast here is that Hundreds of Beavers is a good movie. But go watch Fatal Future. Go watch The Head. It's available on Blu-ray from TerrorVision. And yeah, that's all I got. Will.
Right on. What about Will?
Film Buff is under Film Buff Show online. You could look me up under William-Patrick Coleman or Film Buff Show. I'm pretty much everywhere, but mostly YouTube and we have a Patreon page now that has everything. But yeah, either William-Patrick Coleman or Film Buff Show.
Right
You can find me.
And Tia, where can people find you?
My podcast, my weird little podcast, can be found anywhere.
Which is the name,
That's the
My
name
Weird
of
Little
it.
Podcast.
Yeah,
She's
that's the name of
not
it.
calling it that.
I record it when my mental health is good, so maybe I'll get some episodes out in a couple weeks here. We'll see
on,
what
right
happens. But yeah, other than that, cast me in your horror film. I want to die on screen.
Right.
I agree. I that's always the most fun. So
She's
yeah.
not kidding. She actually wants to die on screen.
Yes,
It's kind
that's
of
how I
fucked.
want to go out.
It's fucked.
Absolutely. I just want to shout out again later this week on Thursday, April 18th. We will be at Maya Cinemas for Abigail.
Yes.
Hopefully, we'll see some of you out there. And then this coming weekend is the 11th annual Las Vegas Black Film Festival. I'm planning on going to that, so hopefully we'll see some people out at that. And then we'll be announcing another show here at Downtown Cinemas very soon, so keep an eye out on all of our socials. And thank you, everybody, so much for being here.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Wax Trax Records here on 2909 South Decatur. We buy all your old 45s, your old albums, any type of music memorabilia. Also, we sell music memorabilia, albums, CDs, and a lot. Come on down to Wax Trax, 2909 South Decatur, or give me a call at 702-362-4300. Thank you very much.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation about Hundreds of Beavers. Thanks to Downtown Cinemas for having us. Thank you to Michael Keene, Tia, Bean, and William-Patrick Coleman for joining me on that one. Thanks to everyone who showed up. And thank you to you for listening. If you're enjoying piecing it together, make sure you're subscribed wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. We have a lot of episodes on the way. And if you get subscribed, you'll find out about all the new episodes, all the new movies we're going to try to piece together as they come out. And you can, of course, do that wherever it is that you're listening right now. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Good Pod, Spotify, drop us a little 5-star rating and review. That would be very nice and helpful to make sure more people check out the show. And we get to do more fun, cool stuff like these live shows and all kinds of other stuff. So you could also follow us on social media at Piecing Pod, join our Facebook group Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, and don't forget we do have a Patreon, the Produced by David Rosen Patreon, where I post bonus and advanced content from Piecing It Together, Awesome Movie Year, which is another movie podcast that I produce, and from my music career. I'm actually going to be releasing a special film score from an unreleased film on there very soon. I just got to finish getting it prepped for release, but all kinds of stuff on the Patreon. Also on the Patreon, I've started posting video versions of some of these podcasts, including this one is going up on the Patreon exclusively. There'll be some clips on my social media, but if you want to watch the whole thing as a video, you can check it out on the Patreon. It's patreon.com/bydavidrosen. Keep listening for free on all of the podcast listening apps. But if you want to support the show, I do appreciate it. You could sign up as little as $3 a month to get access to the bonus stuff. And yeah, that does it for today's episode. I'm going to close out with a piece of music like I always do. And, you know, I might have something kind of Looney Tunes-ish that I could, close out with, but it doesn't happen very often that I've got a movie as deranged and weird as Hundreds of Beavers. And I just released a very ridiculous comedy album of songs about my dogs and cats called The Pup Pups Variety Snaps. And the opening song, What Are We Gonna Do Today, is about as deranged as they come. So I think it would be the perfect opportunity to play this one. And I think it kind of fits the theme of this guy just going around the snowy wilderness and figuring out what he's going to get into each day. So this is What Are We Going to Do Today, the opening track from the new Pup Pups album, Variety Snaps. Hope you enjoy it. We'll be back with more Piecing It Together real soon. Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? We're gonna sing and dance and nap and play. That's what we'll do today. It's a brand new day. It's time to get up. Gonna kick booty and beat your butt. We slept real good. Now it's time to play. Tell me, what are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? We're gonna sing and dance and nap and play. That's what we'll do today. Gonna have some fun, gonna get some snacks. Just you and me and the rest of our pack. Gonna eat some food, gonna take a nap. Just you and me and the rest of our pack. Just you and me and the rest of our pack. Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? We're gonna sing and dance and nap and play. That's what we'll do today. Harvey, that was pretty good. But I think what everybody really wants to hear is a little bit of that toy solo. Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? What are we going to do today? Hey there, mister, what do you say? What are we going to do today? We're gonna sing and dance and nap and play. That's what we'll do today.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.